Okay, so I want to talk about the Tommy Robinson controversy, and I'm glad I waited because there's been a lot of nonsense going on social media regarding it. Not to go into too much detail, but basically, if you haven't heard, Tommy Robinson was arrested for standing outside the courts and live streaming, reporting on the sentencing of 9 men who were found guilty of sexual exploitation of minors, I guess. Anyway, he was arrested for conspiracy to incite and conspiracy to disturb the peace, or incitement and conspiracy to disturb the peace, and was summarily sentenced within like an hour to 13 months in prison. And people are up in arms over it, and obviously that they should be. Apparently there was a press blackout on the proceedings of the 9 men, of which nobody knew apparently. And because Robinson has been arrested in connection with that case, presumably there's a press blackout on Robinson as well, on the whole controversy of him being arrested. So everything that's happening is happening on social media. And there's been people protesting at, was it Whitechapel, I think it is, in Britain? Whitechapel or Whitehall? I think it's Whitechapel. And 10 Downing Street. Like, that's going to make a fucking difference. Anyway. I'll start losing my shit in a minute, but what's really been irritating to me, because his arrest is not surprising to me, but what's been really irritating to me are the people, the apologists online for the tyrants in the UK courts and the UK government, or the British courts or British government. I don't understand the difference between Great Britain and United Kingdom. I know somebody explained it to me once, but in any event, it's people talking about, well, you know, he technically broke the law and we're a nation of laws. Never mind the fact that, you know, 9 men broke the law, raping little kids over the course of years. And it's not like this was an isolated incident. This has been going on in years in Britain. And, you know, hundreds, if not, you know, over 1,000 kids have been exploited at the hands of Pakistani rape gangs. And for people to engage in apologetics for the government doing this, when it was clearly a politically motivated attack, they wanted to shut him up. They're tired of him talking about it, right? They're tired of him shining a light on the failures and abdication of responsibility by the authorities and by the courts. In Rotherham, town councillors and police officers admittedly said they did not pursue these cases and these allegations when it was going on because they didn't want to appear racist. And they apologized for this oversight and this culture of whatever it is they said. And they would promise to do better. Well, promising to do better, it doesn't sound like it when you're arresting people reporting on the ongoing situation. It doesn't sound like you want to do better. It doesn't sound like you want transparency and you want that kind of idiocy to stop within your own organizations, your own police forces, and your own court systems. But like I said, it's not surprising he got arrested. It was only a matter of time before he would be arrested. He's been arrested multiple times. He was on a suspended sentence at the time for 3 months. And when he was arrested by these 4 cops, who, I don't know how they felt about it, but they didn't seem to have any issue doing their job. He was summarily convicted like I said, in less than an hour, and sentenced to 13 months. So they tacked on 10 months because of his violation of conditions of his suspended sentence, I presume. And you got dipshits like Owen Jones coming on and saying that, you know, throwing all these labels on him like somehow it's justified because he's a former leader of the EDL, and because he's far right, and because he's a racist and a bigot. And what was it he said? Oh yeah, he was talking about how there was a former EDL leader, not Tommy Robinson, but another person who was found guilty of sexually exploiting a young girl, and Tommy Robinson didn't get all up in arms about that. That's because there's not a systematic problem of, you know, white men or English native Brits doing this in a coordinated effort like gangs. Except when you get into the higher echelons of, you know, of politics there and entertainment at the BBC. That's where it's a problem, right? But gangs living in row houses, passing around little girls like they're property, drugging them, raping them over the course of years, that's the issue, right? And it's an issue brought about by one segment of the population and along a specific line of nationality or national origin. And to hear people apologize for the government, it's like, I don't know what it is about Britain, and I guess a lot of Europe. It's like they have this innate need to be ruled and to have their lives controlled. And as long as they can, you know, point to, I guess, certain good things about their culture, good things about their societies, they're okay with living in a police state. They're okay with people being arrested for making jokes online. They're okay with people being arrested for reporting on publicly held court proceedings. That was public knowledge that these court proceedings were going on. And people are saying, oh, he undermined the stability of the trial and by these actions. No, he didn't. The trial was over. It was a sentencing hearing. They were sentencing the men. Nothing he was doing was going to change the sentencing of these men. It's disingenuous, it's horseshit, and it's the height of intellectual cowardice. Anyway. There's another YouTuber, his name is Todd Reinhardt. He's a Canadian expat, he lives in the United States, and he does videos similar to what I do. He drives around and he talks about, you know, things that are going on, and he's a, you know, social commentator, I guess. He also has a blog, and he's written a couple of books. Anyway, he did a video over the weekend of this. It's a long video, but it's worth watching just to get his take on it. The video is titled, "Is Tommy Robinson our Franz Ferdinand?" Meaning our generation's Franz Ferdinand. Is he going to bring about either a revolution or a third world war or whatever, if he dies in prison, which people are concerned about because he's been such a vehement opponent of the Pakistani rape gangs and uncontrolled migration into Britain from, you know, from the Middle East, from Asia, i.e. Pakistan. You know, he's come under a lot of fire, and he's viewed by the Muslim community at large, and of course the Muslim criminal community, as, you know, their enemy number one. And if he's in prison and put in general population with them, you know, his life is really in danger. Now, apparently, according to statements that come out, he's fine. He hasn't been attacked yet. Maybe they've got him separated. Maybe they got him, you know, in a different area. And I mean, that's the responsibility of the you know, the prison system. They have to keep him safe. You can't lock him up and put him to his death. But I mean, it's really disheartening to see that Western civilization is about to, you know, disintegrate all around us because of an attitude of profane liberalism. And I don't mean liberalism in the classic liberal sense, but like liberalism to the extreme, right? What we call modern liberals, what we call, you know, progressives. Britain fought off the Nazis. The West defeated communism, or so we thought. And now it's going to be taken down by enemies with inside the gates who are capitulating barbarians from outside the gates. Because they don't want to appear racist. Because they don't want to appear... they don't want to appear intolerant. Well, as Ayaan Hirsi Ali puts it, tolerance of intolerance is cowardice. Tolerance of barbarism is cowardice as well. Now, when I first read about this and I saw a bunch of protesters outside of Whitehall or Whitechapel or whatever it was, and 10 Downing Street, you know, leading in these chants that were kind of, I don't know, anemic. I'm like, what are you idiots doing? If this is really that important to you, if this is really, you know, the catalyst for any actual change, as which it should be, then you should be going to whatever station house Tommy was being held at, and you should just trash the place. I'm not saying engage in, you know, I'm not saying engage in violence against the cops or violence against people working there, but let it be known that, you know, you're not going to put up with it. I mean, chanting, people can ignore chanting, right? People can just turn up the radio and close the window. And if you think that the people at 10 Downing Street, if you think the people at Whitechapel are listening to the chanting and going, we have to do something. No, you're fooling yourselves. Nothing will happen unless people are willing to take the measures needed to bring about change. And I mean, I'm not one to advocate for violence or you know, destruction of property, but more than just standing outside and chanting has to be done. You can't just look like a bunch of rowdy soccer hooligans over the weekend and then on Monday go back to work and forget about it. And virtue signal online, which I guess is what I'm doing. Whatever. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the whole Tommy Robinson situation. Maybe it's the catalyst to the end of an empire. Maybe it's the catalyst to Britain just either disintegrating into complete civil war or revolution or whatever. I don't know. Something's got to be done, and it's not going to be long before it happens here too. I'm sure of it. But anyway, I'm at work. I gotta go. Thanks.